"Sorry, sir, but this store isn't for your type," muttered saleswoman Amanda, looking with utter contempt to the 35-year-old man who had just entered the mall's most exclusive boutique. His simple clothes, faded jeans, a basic t-shirt, and worn sneakers stood in stark contrast to the marble and crystal surroundings. Daniel Thompson remained calm, as if he hadn't heard the direct insult. "I'd just like to look at some suits," he replied calmly, walking toward the racks of clothes whose prices started at $5,000. "Look, honey." Amanda blocked his path with a condescending smile. "These suits cost more than your entire year's salary. Why don't you try C&A across the street? I'm sure they have things more suited to your budget." Two other customers, men in impeccable suits, laughed openly. "Some places should have a dress code at the entrance." One of them commented loud enough for Daniel to hear. It would avoid these embarrassments. The store manager, Mr. Peterson, quickly approached when he noticed the situation. "Amanda is right. Our clientele has a specific standard, and frankly, he examined Daniel from head to toe with visible disgust. You don't fit the profile of someone who shops here." Daniel nodded calmly, his eyes scanning the price tags without showing any intimidation. "I understand perfectly," he said, taking his cell phone out of his pocket. "I just need to make a quick call." "Please do that outside." Peterson gestured impatiently toward the door. "We don't want other customers to feel uncomfortable." What neither of them knew was that Daniel Thompson wasn't just any customer trying to buy expensive clothes. 15 years ago, he had started as a janitor in that same mall, cleaning bathrooms and sweeping the hallways in the early hours of the morning. Today, at 35, he owned one of the largest technology companies on the West Coast. That Saturday morning, Daniel had decided to do something he hadn't done in months. Go out alone without a driver. Without assistance, just him and his modest car. To feel again what it was like to be an ordinary person shopping. He wanted a new suit for Monday's meeting where he would announce the acquisition of a new property. Ironically, the same mall where he was now treated like a homeless person. "Are you sure you don't want to reconsider?" he asked, putting his phone away without completing the call. Something in his tone made Amanda hesitate for a second, but the moment passed quickly. "Absolutely," she replied, crossing her arms. "People like you need to understand their place in the world. Not everyone can have access to everything just because they want it." Daniel smiled for the first time since entering the store. A smile that carried a dangerous serenity, as if it held a secret too powerful to be revealed before the right time. Those people had no idea they were about to discover that some humiliations cost much more than they could ever imagine. If this story of prejudice and twists and turns is piquing your curiosity, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what happened the following Monday turned that store into the stage for one of the most unforgettable lessons about judging people by their appearance. Daniel put his phone in his pocket and walked calmly toward the exit, but Amanda wasn't satisfied with just kicking him out. "Wait a minute," she called, her voice laden with malice. "You're not leaving here without understanding one important thing." He stopped, turning slowly to face her. The other customers had strategically positioned themselves to watch the show, clearly enjoying the situation. "People like you," Amanda continued, gesturing dramatically, "need to stop dreaming too big. You think you can walk into anywhere. But there are levels in society, hierarchies that must be respected." Peterson nodded vigorously. "Exactly. It's not personal, but you just don't belong in this environment. It's a matter of social appropriateness." One of the customers, a burly man in his 50s, approached with a cruel smile. "Let me give you a tip, buddy. See that watch on my wrist? It costs more than your house. This shirt more than your car. Get the difference?" Daniel looked at the gold Rolex, then raised his eyes to meet the man's arrogant gaze. For a brief moment a memory struck him like lightning. Himself at age 20, wearing a faded blue uniform, cleaning the floor of that same store at 300 a.m., dreaming of a future that seemed impossible. Back then, Daniel Thompson was just another young black man from the suburbs of Detroit, trying to pay for engineering school with 3 jobs. During the day, he worked at a mechanic shop. In the afternoon, he tutored neighborhood kids in math. And in the early hours of the morning, Monday through Sunday, he wielded a mop through the silent corridors of the city's most luxurious mall. "You know what?" Amanda laughed, grabbing her phone to take a picture. "I'm going to post this on my Instagram. My followers will love to see how we deal with intruders." The flash went off before Daniel could react. "Fan knowing your place," she muttered as she typed. "It's going to go viral." Peterson joined in the cruelty. "Actually, I'm going to call mall security. You may be planning something suspicious. People like you always are. It was then that Daniel felt something familiar ignite inside him. Not anger, but that cold, calculating determination that had pulled him out of the depths and made him what he was today. The same force that made him study 16 hours a day while working. That led him to create revolutionary algorithms in the basement of a borrowed house. That made him turn down $1 million offers until he was sure he was ready to play at the same level as the tech giants. "Are you done?" Daniel asked with a serenity that made Amanda hesitate for the first time. "What do you mean?" she stammered. "I asked if you were done with this." He gestured vaguely at the group. "Because I have other commitments today." The Rolex customer laughed loudly. "Other commitments? Let me guess. You're going to look for a job, or maybe try your luck at another store where they don't know you." Daniel smiled, a smile that carried 15 years of silent struggles. Defeats turned into fuel, and a patience that only someone who built an empire from scratch could develop. "Something like that," he replied, heading for the exit again. "Hey," Amanda shouted after him. "Don't forget to tell your little friends in the slums how real people live. Education never hurt anyone." Daniel paused one last time at the store entrance, his eyes slowly scanning each face, Amanda with her malicious smile, Peterson with his authoritative pose, the customers with their expressions of superiority. Mentally, he recorded every detail, every word, every gesture of contempt. Because Daniel Thompson had learned something fundamental during his years building one of America's largest technology conglomerates. People reveal who they really are when they believe there are no consequences for their actions. And Monday would be the perfect day to show that some actions always have consequences. They just take a little longer to arrive. As he walked down the mall corridor, Daniel passed the sign announcing the sale of the establishment to unidentified investors. He smiled again, this time allowing a dangerous gleam to take over his eyes. Each new humiliation only fueled something inside him that those privileged people couldn't see. A silent force being shaped by the very injustice they tried to impose without realizing that they were building with their own hands the instrument of their future defeat. Daniel arrived at his apartment in downtown San Francisco at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday, but instead of resting, he went straight to his makeshift home office. The walls were covered with 3 huge monitors displaying financial charts, corporate reports, and real-time news feeds. To any outside observer, it looked like the command center of a military operation. He called James Morrison, his personal attorney for 8 years, and the only man who knew all the details of Daniel's business. "James, I need you to cancel all of Monday's appointments. We have a situation that requires special attention." Something serious. James' voice carried immediate concern. In 8 years of working with Daniel, he had learned that when his boss used that particular tone, big changes were about to happen. "Let's just say that some individuals have just taught me a valuable lesson about how certain people treat those they consider inferior," Daniel replied, opening a folder on his computer marked Pending Acquisitions Confidential. "I want you to prepare all the property transfer documents for the Golden Mile Shopping Center. And James, I want this to be an absolutely flawless and irreversible process." On the other end of the line, James paused. The Golden Mile Shopping Center was one of the most valuable commercial properties in the city, valued at around $300 million. "Daniel, this deal has been in negotiation for months. The current owners are still resisting our offer." "Not anymore," Daniel smiled, typing quickly. "I just authorized a 15% increase in the offer. I want the papers ready for signing at 8:00 a.m. on Monday, and I want an extraordinary meeting with all the tenants at 10:00 a.m. Official reason introduction of the new owner." As he spoke, Daniel browsed social media, quickly finding Amanda's Instagram profile. The photo she had taken of him in the store already had 847 likes and dozens of comments celebrating the lesson in humility she had taught the intruder. The comments were even worse than the original humiliation at Amanda Boutique. "That's right, girl. You have to put these riffraff in their place." I died laughing. Some people need to understand that they weren't born for certain things. Perfect. Who told him to enter a place that is clearly not for him? Peterson had shared the photo in his own stories, adding, "Today we taught a valuable lesson about knowing your place in society. Some are born to serve, others to be served." Daniel captured screenshots of everything, methodically organizing each piece of evidence in a digital folder. Every comment, every like, every share would be documented with surgical precision. "James, I also want you to prepare letters of dismissal for just cause for Amanda Richardson, manager of the Luxe Elegance Boutique, and Michael Peterson, general supervisor of the same store. Legal grounds: discriminatory conduct and damage to the company's image. Discrimination. What exactly happened? Daniel recounted the details of the humiliation, keeping his voice controlled, but allowing James to perceive the gravity of the situation. They didn't know who they were dealing with, and apparently believed that certain people simply don't belong in certain environments. "I understand perfectly," James replied, his voice now laden with professional determination. "I'll prepare a complete dossier. Discriminatory conduct, creation of a hostile environment, damage to the property's reputation. They won't have a chance to contest it." Meanwhile, at the mall itself, Amanda was celebrating her victory of the day. She had met with Peterson and 2 other managers from neighboring stores at the Central Cafe, where she proudly recounted the morning's events. "You should have seen the look on his face when I said the store wasn't for his type." Amanda laughed, showing off her cell phone with a viral photo. "Some people really need to understand their place in the world." "You did the right thing," Peterson agreed, adjusting his tie, not with satisfaction. "We can't allow just anyone into our establishments. It lowers the standard and scares away our real clientele." Rachel, the manager of the jewelry store next door, nodded vigorously. "Exactly. If we start accepting everyone, soon our real customers will look elsewhere to shop." What none of them knew was that at that very moment, Daniel was reviewing the lease agreements for each of his stores. As the future owner of the mall, he would have absolute power over renovations, contract terms, and most importantly, who could and could not continue to operate in that space. "One last thing, James," Daniel added, his fingers drumming on the table as an idea formed. "I want you to hire a discreet investigation company to gather information on the customer service standards of all the stores in the Golden Mile. Specifically, I want documentation on any cases of discrimination or inappropriate treatment of customers." "Are you planning a full conduct audit?" "I'm planning to ensure that properties under my responsibility operate with the highest ethical and professional standards," Daniel replied, a cold satisfaction tinging his voice. "If some establishments can't meet those criteria, maybe it's time we found tenants who can." Sunday passed in meticulous preparation. Daniel reviewed every document, every strategy, every move that would be executed on Monday. He wasn't just seeking revenge. He was orchestrating a lesson in consequences that would reverberate far beyond the walls of that boutique. On Sunday night, Amanda posted another update on her social media, relaxing after a perfect weekend. "Tomorrow is another day of work at the most exclusive store in town. Only real customers, for high standards of quality above all." Daniel read the post at 11:47 am as he finalized the last details of his strategy. He smiled for the first time since Saturday, not a cruel smile, but the serene expression of someone who was about to turn the arrogance of others into his own tool of justice. While the city slept, Daniel remained awake, not out of nervousness, but out of anticipation. Because Monday would not only be the day Amanda and Peterson would find out who he really was. It would be the day they would learn that sometimes the people you despise carry with them the power to completely rewrite the rules of the game you thought you were winning. Monday, 10 a.m., the central auditorium of the Golden Mile Mall was packed with all the shopkeepers, managers, and employees summoned to the extraordinary meeting with a new owner. Amanda arrived 15 minutes late, still hungover from Sunday night celebration, where she had commemorated her epic performance against the boutique's intruder. "Who bought this place?" Peterson muttered to Amanda as they settled into the last available rows. "Probably another oil tycoon who's never set foot in a store in his life." James Morrison took the stage, impeccable in his charcoal gray suit, carrying a leather briefcase and a tablet. "Good morning, everyone. My name is James Morrison, and I am the legal representative for the new operations of this establishment. Before introducing our owner, I would like to review some immediate changes to our customer service policy." A murmur ran through the auditorium. Amanda rolled her eyes, checking Instagram where her photo humiliating Daniel had reached 2,847 likes and 312 supportive comments. "Starting today," James continued, "any form of discrimination based on appearance, social class, race, or financial status will result in immediate termination of employment. We have documented evidence that certain inappropriate practices have been occurring at this establishment." Peterson shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "What kind of evidence?" he shouted from the audience. James smiled coldly. "I'm glad you asked, Mr. Peterson." He activated the projector, and the first image that appeared on the giant screen was the photo Amanda had taken of Daniel at the boutique. complete with a cruel caption and all the discriminatory comments. Amanda's blood instantly turned cold. How did that lawyer have access to her personal Instagram account? This image, James explained calmly, was posted on Saturday at 20:23 p.m. by Ms. Amanda Richardson, manager of the Luxe Elegance boutique, after publicly humiliating a potential customer. The comments, as you can see, openly celebrate discrimination and prejudice. The next photo showed Peterson's story. Today we taught a valuable lesson about knowing your place in society. Some are born to serve, others to be served. Peterson stood up abruptly, his face red with anger and panic. This is invasion of privacy. You can't use our social media against us. Actually, James replied, consulting his documents. Public posts constitute admissible evidence, especially when they document discriminatory conduct that directly affects the reputation of a commercial property. Amanda finally found her voice, though it trembled. Who is the owner? And why are they doing this to us? An excellent question. A familiar voice echoed through the speakers. Amanda felt her stomach drop as she recognized the calm, controlled tone. Daniel Thompson emerged from the shadows at the side of the stage, now wearing an impeccable Armani suit, Patek Philippe watch, and a presence that radiated absolute authority. The contrast with a man in jeans and a shirt they had humiliated was striking. The silence in the auditorium was deafening. Amanda felt her legs give way, forcing her to lean on the chair in front of her. Peterson was pale as a ghost, his mouth open in utter shock. "My name is Daniel Thompson," he said, his voice echoing clearly through the sound system. CEO of Thompson Technologies, owner of 47 companies in 12 countries, and as of 8:00 a.m. this morning, legal owner of 100% of the shopping center. Amanda began to shake uncontrollably. The 247 people who had liked her discriminatory post had just watched her humiliate the man who now controlled her livelihood. "Last Saturday," Daniel continued, walking slowly across the stage, "I went to the Luxe Elegance boutique to buy a suit. Not as a CEO, not as a businessman, just as an ordinary man looking for an outfit. And I discovered exactly how you treat people you deem unsuitable for your establishment." Peterson tried to stand up, but his legs wouldn't obey him. We didn't know who you were." "Exactly," Daniel smiled, but it was a smile that froze the blood of everyone present. "You didn't know. And that revealed exactly who you really are, when you believe there are no consequences for your actions." James activated the next slide sequence, showing all of Amanda and Peterson's social media comments. Every like, every share, every word of hate magnified on the giant screen for the 200 employees present to see. "Some people need to understand their place in the world." James read aloud Amanda's most liked comment. "Not everyone can have access to everything just because they want it." Amanda was crying now, tears of pure panic streaming down her face. "Mr. Thompson, please. We can explain." "Explain what?" Daniel asked, his voice still calm, but laden with an authority that silenced the entire auditorium. "That you believe certain people don't belong in certain environments, that you judge a person's worth by their appearance, that you use social media to celebrate discrimination." Peterson finally managed to stand up, attempting one last desperate gambit. "This is revenge. You bought the mall just to fire us." "No," Daniel replied, his expression serious. "I bought this mall because it's an excellent investment. You are being fired because you have created a hostile and discriminatory work environment that is not in line with the values that any decent establishment should uphold." James approached the microphone. "Ms. Amanda Richardson and Mr. Michael Peterson, through this official presentation, I hereby inform you that your employment contracts are terminated for just cause, effective immediately. Discriminatory conduct, damage to the company's image, and creation of a hostile environment for customers and employees." Amanda collapsed into her chair, sobbing uncontrollably. Her 6-year job, her reputation, her arrogance, everything had disintegrated in 15 minutes. Peterson made one last attempt. "We're going to sue. This is harassment." Daniel walked to the edge of the stage, his eyes meeting Peterson's directly. "Mr. Peterson, you have every right to try, but I suggest you consult a lawyer first. James, can you show the other evidence?" The screen now displayed security footage from the store, capturing every cruel word, every discriminatory gesture, every moment of humiliation they had inflicted on Daniel. The audio quality was crystal clear, all documented, all legal, all admissible in any court in the country, James concluded. The auditorium was completely silent. Other managers looked at Amanda and Peterson with a mixture of horror and relief. Horror at what they had witnessed, relief that it wasn't them. Daniel took the microphone one last time. To all other employees, this establishment will operate with the highest standards of professionalism and respect. Every person, regardless of appearance or social status, will be treated with dignity. Anyone who cannot meet this basic standard of humanity will find other employment opportunities elsewhere. Amanda and Peterson were escorted out of the auditorium by security guards, their faces covered with shame and despair. Amanda's dream of becoming a regional manager had evaporated along with her professional reputation. Peterson, at 52, now faced the prospect of explaining to future employers why he had been fired for discrimination. As the meeting dispersed, other employees approached Daniel, some apologizing for the behavior of their former colleagues, others simply expressing admiration for his elegant and professional conduct in the face of injustice. Daniel had not shouted, had not publicly humiliated anyone, but had allowed his own actions to speak for themselves. He had simply used the truth, his own recorded words and actions, to demonstrate the natural consequences of prejudice and discrimination. But one question still hung in the air among those who witnessed the complete turnaround. Could the lesson learned that day transcend the walls of that mall and inspire real change in the way people treat each other? And what would Daniel Thompson do now that justice had been served so completely and satisfactory? 6 months after the turnaround at Golden Mile Mall, Daniel Thompson sat in his panoramic office reviewing quarterly reports. The mall had become a model of inclusion and service excellence. With a 340% increase in revenue and a waiting list of companies wanting to rent space, Amanda Richardson never got another job in luxury retail. The viral photo she had posted discriminating against Daniel became a case study in universities on how to destroy a career in 15 seconds. Her former colleagues reported that she now worked as a salesperson in an ordinary department store, earning a third of what she had earned before. Always nervous when well-dressed customers entered the store, Peterson faced an even worse fate. At 53, he discovered that his dismissal for discrimination had made him unemployable in the industry. Companies did background checks and found videos of his humiliation being studied in business ethics courses. He ended up taking a job as an insurance salesman, going door to door. A cruel irony for someone who had previously judged people by their appearance. But the real transformation took place at the mall. Daniel implemented a mandatory training program on diversity and inclusion for all employees. He created a code of conduct that protected customers from any form of discrimination. He installed digital panels that told stories of entrepreneurs from different backgrounds overcoming adversity, transforming that space into a symbol of opportunity, not exclusion. The case gained national attention when a documentary called The Undercover CEO aired, showing how Daniel had used his own experience of humiliation to completely reshape the culture of a commercial establishment. Universities invited Daniel to give lectures on ethical leadership and organizational transformation. James Morrison, his lawyer, often joked, "Daniel, you've turned revenge into a science. Calculated, precise, and devastatingly effective." But Daniel always corrected him. "It wasn't revenge, James. It was educational justice." Those people revealed who they really were when they thought there would be no consequences. I just made sure there were. The most touching moment came when Daniel received a letter from Marcus, a 16-year-old black boy who had gotten his first job at the new boutique that replaced Lux's elegance. "Mr. Thompson," the letter said, "my mother told me your story. Today, when I came to work wearing my new uniform, I remembered that people like us can be anywhere we deserve to be." Daniel kept the letter in a special drawer along with dozens of other similar messages from young people who were inspired by his story to confront discrimination in their own lives. The boutique where it all began was now managed by Carmen Rodriguez, a Latina entrepreneur who had created one of the most respected customer service programs in the country. In the exact spot where Amanda had taken that cruel photo, Carmen installed a sign, "Every customer is welcome. Every dream is valid. Every human being deserves respect." During the reopening, Daniel was asked by a journalist if he wasn't tempted to publicly humiliate Amanda and Peterson just as they had done to him. "The difference between us," Daniel replied with a serene smile, "is that they use their power to diminish other human beings. I used mine to elevate them. The best revenge is not to bring down those who have hurt you. It is to rise so high that they can never reach you again." 2 years later, Amanda tried to contact Daniel through social media, asking for a second chance and claiming to have learned from her mistakes. Daniel didn't respond, but he did something better. He created a scholarship fund for low-income youth interested in business and customer service. Teaching the true elegance is not in what you wear, but in how you treat people. Daniel's story proved that sometimes the universe needs a little help from us to deliver justice. That true strength is not in humiliating those who humiliated you, but in transforming your pain into power to change the world around you. If this story of overcoming adversity and justice touched your heart, subscribe to the channel for more narratives that prove that success is truly the best revenge there is. Because in the end, those who try to diminish us end up being just stepping stones for our rise.